Okay, so it's Monday, and that means that I'm going to have one of these semi-regular clear-outs of content that I do every now and again. I'm going to go through a few stories, show you a few clips of things that I've been investigating over the last few days that I haven't got round to making videos about. And we're going to take a look at a few of the channel favourites today. So brace yourselves, because you're in for some pretty hard-hitting investigative journalism.
Jamie Lee Curtis is scared.
This episode of the Daniel Boland Show.
Who's Daniel Boland?
This episode is going to be pretty... Ooh.
Oh, Daniel Boland, this is a heavy hitter. Do you guys know who this is?
So we're going to start today's show with a little bit of light controversy, okay? How many of you know who this guy is?
Controversial Irish star James McLean salutes fans singing he hates the fucking king weeks after Wrexham invited Prince William to their stadium.
Despicable behaviour.
Real bad man.
And as if to add insult to injury, that headline screenshotted there that I showed you is actually taken from James McClean's own Instagram stories. Just look at his little rhetorical conversation he's having with himself here. You'll be sickened.
Just take a look at this maverick, this rogue, this freedom fighter.
Inspired by Nelson Mandela.
Not only does he have the gall to post this headline to his own Instagram stories, but then he starts having this conversation with himself. Is this correct? Absolutely. And I also sang at the top of my lungs.
Ooh, you're hard.
Disgusting. But wait, there's more. Do I make any apologies for doing so? Absolutely not.
You're a braver man than me, son.
Now, I'm just going to say one thing before we completely write off James McClean as one of these idiots who's grown up. He's the same age as me, right? He's lived in immense comfort, as everyone in my generation has, and he's a professional footballer. So his life has been relatively a doddle compared to a lot of people. And he's one of these idiots, I guess, on the surface, you think he's one of these idiots who's living vicariously through his ancestors' struggles. Oh, the king, oh, the Irish, oh, the black and tan. You don't remember shit. You're 34 years old, all right? So get over it. Get over yourself. I get it, but let's not just completely write him off, okay? Because there is one thing I have to say in his defense, and don't shoot the messenger, okay? I know a lot of you don't like it when I talk about this subject, which I do like to talk about quite a lot for some reason. And I don't know if his employer, if James McClean's employer, Ryan Reynolds, I don't know if he knows this, but James McClean is in fact severely, some say terminally, autistic. Now, I know a lot of you don't like it when I talk about the autists, okay? And I think the problem is you're not interpreting it right. Perhaps, you know, you're a bit... That's not the point. Some of you don't like it because you think I'm casting judgment. You think I'm judging the autists when I talk about them. I'm just stating facts here, all right? You should all like that kind of thing. I'm just stating facts that maybe his autism could have something to do with his somewhat atypical acting out at the age of 34. I don't know. I'm just saying what could be happening here. I have nothing but love for the spectrum people, the people on the spectrum dwellers. That's what I used to call them, wasn't it? And of course I do, because we're all on the spectrum, aren't we? You know, some more than others. You know, some are on a fucking kaleidoscope. But I'm just saying, in fact, what I always say is, he who is without autism cast the first box of toothpicks or whatever.
I have a trans daughter.
All I'm saying is, look, we can tear down James McClean until the cows come home, right? But really, like the cows, we're talking about a man who they had to design a spiral ramp to get him on the team bus, you know? Otherwise he'd just start thrashing around and attacking everyone, lowing. Oh, they've started drilling. Anyway, where was I? Ah, yes. Well, that is quite an image, isn't it, there, of James hugging an opposition player after the match, trying to be friendly. But he doesn't know his strength, does he, old Lenny Small? He's got his teammates there trying to plead with him, prize him off the new friend he's just made. Anyway, as if King Charles didn't have enough to contend with, what with his health and the jam wars with Meghan Markle, which is very interesting and something I learned about this week, which I'll come back to later. But now we're going to a segment of the show which I'm going to call Things Danny Learned This Week.
Eco-anxiety is an environmental justice issue that disproportionately impacts Black youth.
Yes, it came as a surprise to me, but one of the big concerns amongst Black youth, particularly Black youth, is eco-anxiety.
Let's talk about it.
Go on then.
According to the American Psychological Association, eco-anxiety is defined as a chronic fear of environmental doom.
Now, you might say I'm not an expert in Black youth, okay? But I beg to differ because I've spent the last 15 years working with Black, well, not really Black, Spanish youth here in Spain. I teach them English, and in not so many respects, I am a mentor to them. I do mentorship with Black youth, basically, you know? So I think I'm pretty much in touch with what they're worried about. And she's absolutely right. Some of the nerdier ones are kind of worried about the environment, right? Now, I don't like to brag, okay? But I got an E grade in psychology at 6th form, aged 18. So I'm pretty much a licensed psychologist. And what I found is the best technique to get this obsession out of this kid's head, this eco-anxiety of the Black youth that I work with. I take them to a tip, you know. What do they call them now? The garbage mounds. I take them there, where all the trucks dump the stuff for to be buried in the ground. I take them there. A tip, right? A tip. That's what it's called, isn't it? Said the English teacher. I take them there and I just say, confront your fears. It's called flooding. It's a psychological technique called flooding. I just throw them into those little Spaniards. I throw them into the tip and I roll them around in the rubbish. And I say, get a grip, all right? You think your problem is the environment? Get a job, okay? Little needles in them and everything, and but they're cured. After a couple of sessions, they stop talking to me about the environment, okay? And then they fly the nest. They go away. I never see them again, usually. So it works, is all I'm saying. We need to help the community, because they can't be all worried about eco-anxiety when, you know, they don't even have food on their plates. They're all living with their parents still.
And that may include feelings of worry, guilt, shame, despair, and even hope. However, just as the climate crisis doesn't impact people and communities the same, neither does eco-anxiety. When we fully understand the relationship between social determinants of mental health and climate change, we begin to understand that the nature of a person's eco-anxiety is also informed by systemic factors that exacerbate the...
Exacerbate? Nobody's doing any of that. What is that even? Like an extreme masturbation of some kind? I don't know. The kind, oh, names. Who are the names of the people that died that way? A couple of singers. The guy from In Excess. Paula Yates and... the exacerbator. What's his name? I can't remember. I just went away and did a bit more investigative journalism. Michael Hutchence was the name I was looking for, and apparently that's been debunked. I don't want any more trouble with the Michael Hutchence estate. Okay. That didn't happen.
the ways that it's felt and addressed. Communities of color, and particularly black ones, are more vulnerable than white ones to sea level rise.
Oh, haha, good one. Very funny. All right, black people are more vulnerable to sea level rise. Okay, that's just an unhelpful stereotype. Yeah, grow up.
Wildfire, and heat waves linked to climate change. Black youth are more likely to reside in hotter regions that trap and radiate heat, have the highest asthma rates in the country, and are increasingly more likely to experience mental health illness, all while having fewer avenues to really access often life-saving resources, whether it be access to affordable healthcare or access to green space like tree canopy cover that can help mitigate extreme heat. When we couple contributing factors to mental health like poverty rates and white supremacy...
Okay, lady, I don't think I need to take any lectures from you about the correlation between white supremacy and mental episodes. Here's a graph I plotted earlier, just in case you're wondering. So,
with generally worse exposure to environmental hazards and the climate crisis, we begin to understand how a racialized difference in eco-anxiety can emerge. And yet, in the midst of all of these disparities, Black youth continue to be sidelined and decentered in mainstream conversations around eco-anxiety.
Lady, you're preaching to the choir. I am so sick of Black youths. Don't click that. I'm sick of Black youths being sidelined in the eco-anxiety conversations. Black kids are just as eco-anxious as you or I.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids.
Which really distinguishes this whole conversation as an environmental injustice. Because for Black youth, eco-anxiety isn't just a fear of having children in a climate future, it's also coupled with the fear of having children in an anti-Black world, period. In a world already failing to address a Black maternal health crisis, let alone a climate crisis.
You know, I'll bet some of my more ignorant, less enlightened members of my audience will be thinking, or were thinking before you saw that very informative segment there of what Danny learned this week. You were probably thinking that eco-anxiety was more of a Native American thing, you know. Those poor lost Indians, when the white man found them, most died of TB, the rest went insane. You're all thinking of that song, weren't you? Well, you know, the more you know.
People start pollution. People can stop it.
Anyway, that was a very moving What Danny Learnt This Week segment there of the show, which is going to become a fixture, I think. I think it's going to be very popular. Anyway, let's wrap this up, I guess. I've got loads of stuff I haven't got round to, but that just means there'll be loads more videos this week. We've got one last thing to look at here today, and it's the jam wars between King Charles and Meghan Markle, which I'm sure you're all dying to find out about.
What's this jam about? Let's start with the jam.
Yeah. The jam. Well, they've got themselves into a bit of a sticky mess. It's actually ended up being a bonus for King Charles, who's never had to do anything. So Meghan's launched her new lifestyle range, starting with jams, and it's called American Riviera Orchard. Apparently it's been made by organic fruits grown in Meghan and Harry's Montecito gardens. If we can believe it. I reserve an air of scepticism on that. I'm sure there's probably something else going on behind the scenes.
Oh, what? What's going on behind the scenes? You don't think in Montecito they've got access to some organic strawberries? What is it? Soylent Green. It's humans. It's people. This is beneath me. All right? This isn't investigative journalism of the Daniel Boland bar.
But she sent out 50 jars of this jam to influencers and celebrity friends in the hope of trying to boost some sales to her product. But it's ended up winning for King Charles because fans have gone to Highgrove website and King Charles's jam has sold out across the board.
So Meghan's not feeling so jammy then?
She's not. Not feeling so jammy, all she's done is serve a gold to King Charles, her father-in-law, and he'd be obviously loving this.
So why did they go?
Has gone through the roof.
Why did they go to the Highgrove website?
Well, I think it's a bit of a blow against Meghan because they're saying we don't want your jam. We're going to go and get the king. So it just shows how popular the king is.
Sarah, are you feeling optimistic about Meghan's lifestyle brand? Because, you know, they've tried many things. They've done the documentary. She's done the podcast. Everything Meghan does gets slated. So how are you feeling about this brand? Because it seems like she wants world domination here.
It does seem with these jams that she wants world domination. Well, you know, I don't think it's that exactly. It's, what is it? What is it exactly that they want? It's almost to me as though Meghan wants to fit in, okay? They're hanging around with all of these famous people who've got things going on. They've got all of the merch, the jams, the Gwyneth Paltrow, I think they mention in this clip as well, Gwyneth Paltrow, she's got her stupid vagina egg things or whatever. Goop, I think it's called, isn't it? They've got careers already, these people, and then they start selling, like Dan Aykroyd's Skull vodka. Is it Dan Aykroyd or the other guy who looks like him? I think it's Dan Aykroyd. Anyway, they've got all of this after having a 40-year career in Hollywood or after being a famous musician or something. You can't have the merch first. And that's kind of the angle that I think Meghan's always gone for, you know? And I think that's the problem with it. It just kind of feels a bit hollow, you know? If you just start selling me jams out of nowhere, like, I've got to be invested in the person first. And I've always felt that with Harry and Meghan, and I've said in other videos recently, it's kind of like people are invested in an argument, but not really in them. You know, it's kind of an anti-royal thing, it's kind of a racism thing, but nobody really cares about their jam or their documentaries or their podcasts. Nobody's really invested in the person. Not like you all are in the Daniel Boland show. Like, share, subscribe. Check out my Patreon. We've got like 9 videos up there now, and they're pretty good. Though I do say so myself. If you want to help out with the channel, it's there for you to see. Link in description. Like, share, subscribe. As I said, do all those things. Well, we'll just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and there'll be merch. I'll send you jams for you to promote for me. Anyway, well, as I say, loads more to get through. I'll see you in the next one. There's another video coming out, like, now!
Jamie Lee Curtis is scared.